Welcome! The Kroxylicious project is proud to present release 0.21.0. This video is going to go over new features and any deprecations. First of all, this was a super community release. In the end, we landed commits from 26 different contributors, and community contributions added significant new APIs and features. So they're really shaping the future of the Proxy's capabilities. So thank you for all of your efforts. And remember, Kroxylicious exists to work with you to support all use cases and deployments the open source way. So go on and get involved. All right, on with the new features. First of all, we have a new Kubernetes component, the Alpha Admission Webhook. We now offer an admission webhook that can inject proxy sidecar containers into your pods at creation time. You install our webhook, label the namespace you want injection enabled on, and create a Kroxylicious sidecar config custom resource, and away you go. So a caveat to be aware of here is that we inject at pod creation time, so if your sidecar config changes, you're going to have to delete and recreate. Next, we have an improvement in the networking area, which is Graceful connection draining. So you can configure a drain timeout on your virtual cluster, which controls how long we wait for in-flight requests to complete while shutting down a virtual cluster. So this is building towards a really cool thing in the future where we're going to be able to independently and dynamically reconfigure virtual clusters. So you'll have hot reload without having to shut down the whole proxy, which maybe hosts lots of virtual clusters and has heaps and heaps of connections established. Shutting them all down at once could be bad. So we're working towards dynamic reload. Another new feature that's been added is HAProxy proxy protocol support. So the proxy can now tolerate connections which use HAProxy proxy protocol with and without the proxy terminating TLS. So this is building towards supporting new topologies, like using a load balancer for your TLS termination and avoiding that termination in Kroxylicious, and making the information from the proxy protocol available so that we know more about the client identity at the proxy. Another new feature we've added is Strimzi integration in the Kubernetes operator. So the operator now offers integration with Strimzi, which allows you to point at a Strimzi Kafka resource to obtain the Bootstrap service configuration and TLS certificates needed to connect to that Strimzi cluster. Some caveats are that your Kafka service has to be in the same namespace as the Strimzi cluster, and you still have to supply node ID ranges describing the upstream node IDs. So hopefully we can do that in future, pulling the upstream node IDs from the Strimzi resources, which would be really cool. Now over to record encryption. In the AWS KMS, we've had some new authentication mechanisms added by the community. So we now support IRSA and pod identity authentication on EKS so that it can be run more conveniently on EKS. Back into the heart of the proxy, we've had a new API added for dynamic TLS credential selection plugins. So this means that implementers can add their own plugin to dynamically select the client certificate presented by the proxy during TLS negotiations with the upstream target cluster. This enables implementers to build their own advanced strategies like certificate rotation or selecting the upstream client certificate based on the downstream client certificate. Over in the record validation filter, there's now support for validating Avro and Protobuf serialized messages where the schemas are stored in Apicurio. There used to just be JSON schema support. One deprecation you should be aware of is that we've changed the primary name of the proxy container image. The new primary image name is key.io/Kroxylicious/proxy. We will continue to publish to the old name, key.io/Kroxylicious/Kroxylicious, but it is deprecated and will be removed in a future release. So if you're directly referring to our images, please update that. And that's it. So go ahead and check it out. You can download the latest version at kroxylicious.io/download, and you can find documentation for the new features on our website as well at kroxylicious.io/documentation, followed by the version number. Thank you for watching.